All right, we'll go ahead and convene. Don, would you lead us in a invocation?
Yes. Father, we thank you, Lord, for this day, and we thank you for the opportunity to come here and serve you tonight. I just pray, God, as we do the city's business, that you will lead us and guide us in everything that we do. Lord, keep us safe as we travel back home. We ask this in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
Misty, will you lead us in the pledge?
Yes, I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, we'll start our meeting with roll call. Misty Cottle.
Here.
Jeff Upton. Here. Jan Throgmorton.
Yes.
Marty Lindaberry.
Here.
John Collins. Dina McKnight.
Here.
Don Rollins.
Here.
Jimmy Conda.
Here.
City Attorney and City Clerk are both present. The first item on our agenda is the adoption of the agenda. I do have one change to make to that. We have a lease to discuss on one of Isaac's backhoes. The lease is running out on it. So we just need to get it in the minutes that we've discussed it before we can move forward with renewing it. So I'd like to move that to, we'll move it to new business item 4. Are there any other comments about the agenda?
Make a motion, we approve it with this addition.
We've-
Business.
We have a motion and a second to approve the agenda as mailed with the addition. All those in favor say yes.
Yes.
Those opposed, no. That motion carries. Next is the approval of our meeting minutes from September 12th. Do we have any adjustments to those?
There's a typo that was pointed out. I think the N was left out of it, so.
You've been made aware of it though? Okay. Do we have any motions concerning?
Make a motion. We approve the minutes. Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the minutes. All those in favor say yes.
Yes.
Those opposed, no. That motion carries. Next is our public forum, where we welcome anyone to address the council. We do ask that you keep your comments to about 2 minutes each. And please address the council and no one in the audience. Do we have anyone who would like to address the council tonight? Yes, sir. Come up here and tell us who you are.
I'd rather not give my name. So I've been coming to these meetings for 15 years, started in 2009 when I had a little community news blog called the West Fork Zephyr. And I came in and I reported, publicized these meetings and been doing it ever since. I hardly miss a meeting. Sometimes I'm the only citizen here. And or watch them on the video. And I've seen lots of stuff go on at these meetings. And I saw something brand new last month. I have seen where the people on the council insult and people that come up before them. I've seen that and call them names and be pretty rude. I have seen that. I've seen people get up and leave because they got so rude. And so I've seen all that, right? But I never saw a mayor or any council member single out a random audience member. I never saw that. Somebody sitting in the audience and the mayor seemed to think that, well, there's Steve Winkler and he didn't go to the pancake party at the firehouse. What? What? I don't get it. I mean, if you're trying to make a contest of how unprofessional you can be, that's about one right there. And then somebody else had to chime in, so just pile on Winkler. What's Winkler? Didn't go to the pancake breakfast? So he needs to be, what does that mean? He's not a pancake eater or what? I don't know. And then, as it got into the end of the meeting, you said you were still going to talk to the Fable Council about trying to get them to, you hadn't given up on trying to get them to lower the sewer rates. And then you said because Steve Winkler hasn't given up on me. And I can tell you that is absolutely not true. I gave up on you at the November meeting in 2017 when you delivered your what you call it, civics lesson, where you declared that you were an anti-democracy authoritarian. And that was the moment I gave up on you. And the 7 years since then has shown what that kind of leadership will get you to. Is my 2 minutes up?
I think so.
It is.
Pardon?
It is, yes, sir.
Yeah, I thought it would be.
So thank you for coming and addressing us tonight, Steve.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Would anybody else like to address the council tonight? Yes, sir. Are you able to share your name tonight?
Charlie Rossetti. Right. I didn't hear all that was on the agenda tonight, and I didn't see a document, but I talked to one of the council members about the possibility of having a discussion tonight about the yard waste, deadfall from trees and twigs, and if the city can set up maybe a place at the city yard where individuals could take those limbs and yard waste there to pile up. And if there could be locations around the city, possible locations around the city, where the city might be able to pick those up if they have to be bundled or however, and then taken there. At that point, rent or purchase a chipper, chip up mulch, and that mulch would be available to anyone in the city who needs it for flower beds or for landscaping and so on. So, was that put on, was that?
It wasn't on this month's. We did discuss it last month
Okay,
and the month prior to that.
okay,
And so what we talked about, Charlie, was what brought it up was some limbs up on Valley View that had been there for a while. And so we went out and got quotes for what would that cost the city to, if we were to provide a chipper station, if you will. So we looked at hiring somebody to bring in a commercial chipper and do the chipping. And we also looked at what would it cost us to rent one and do it ourselves. So we haven't moved any on it. It's more, I think at this point, we're kind of down to how much interest is there in that from the city, right? So if we hire somebody to come and do it, it's $1,000 a day. And I mean, that's a large amount, but it's not also, right? If we had 20 or 30 citizens show up, then maybe that's not too much if they can do that in a day. But I would also hate to spend $1,000 and you show up with an armload of limbs and you know, we essentially have wasted taxpayer dollars for one citizen and a small pile of debris. So I think we're at a point where we're trying to wage what kind of interest there is in doing this.
okay. Can I have a little bit more time?
Go ahead.
Well, I did check about chippers when I first thought about this. I was told by one of the rental places in Fayetteville that a 12-inch chipper is too large. When you have a lot of small limbs and stuff, they'll gum up sometimes. He said, but what you need is a 6-inch chipper. We don't rent them, but there is a couple of places in Springdale, I think, he said, that do have 6-inch chippers. And if that can be accumulated over a month's period of time or so on, and they just come in and rent the machine, chip it all out, and then wait for another, good amount of materials to come back in. So I wasn't looking for the city to do that on a regular basis of any kind, anything like that. So, and I think that could really reduce the costs. I did not find out the price of renting a chipper.
I think it was $640 a week.
Yeah, I believe so.
And I don't know, I don't remember what size that was, Isaac, that you found. But
I don't either. The one place I found that would even rent them was a landscaping place out of Rogers. This is the closest place I found that even rent one.
So we are continuing to look into it.
Okay,
But again, a lot of it's gonna be dependent upon interest, or I think if we were to have something where, you know, winds came through or something like that, that's definitely something that we should consider making available after events like that. If, you know, if we have a lot of limbs come down, it's just one of those things like today, how many people are interested in it? But if they knew we were gonna do it, we might have more.
Yeah.
So I grant you that.
Yeah.
And I will say that, you know, when we chipped up those trees down there on the old sewer plant, when we cleaned that out, chipped those up, we were begging to give away that mulch. And we had a hard time giving it away, to be
Really?
perfectly honest, yeah. And did we advertise it the best in the world? Maybe not. I mean, that's always, you know, an argument that can be made. We didn't, nobody knew about it. Well, you know,
Yeah.
we did what we could to get the word out, but
That
yeah,
area
it's
was
definitely
nice.
something we're thinking about.
Yeah. Okay. So you will pursue it in on some medium?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Thank you. Anyone else? Yes, sir. Can you share your name tonight?
Yes, my name is John Shadwick, and I live at 155 South Centennial Avenue. All right, so the property right north of mine on South Centennial Avenue, they've been developing, and there's been some dirt work out there, and some work with bulldozers and things. And we are right above the cliff above the park. And as far as I understand, the cliffside and all that is owned by the water company or the
There's a piece right there.
okay. The people next door, or the developer next door, bulldozed right down on what I'm pretty sure is city property and took out trees, took out plants, and left some dirt on top of it. And it seems a shame to me, because one thing that I like about the park is that cliffside with trees all above it, and you don't have you almost feel like you're out somewhere in the woods, you know. And so it seems, and also seems a bit of an invasion onto city property, and I don't know what the city would want to do about that. I would just like to see it left to just grow back to what it was before, and not be somebody's de facto lawn that is just going to be mowed, and then you break up that hillside there.
Yeah.
That's all I had to say about that.
Okay. And I'm not sure we're even aware that they've done that. Yes?
Yeah, I went down there and chewed on them quite a bit.
Good. All right. So that was it. But is there a way to make sure they don't keep mowing it, or?
I'm sure that's
They're
been,
well aware that they're off their property line.
Okay.
so-
All right. Well, thank you much.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us, yeah.
come back and see us sometime.
Oh,
Anyone else? No? All right, we'll close the public forum and move into our business reports. First up is Planning Commission. Walter?
Good evening. So our last meeting was a little busier. We had a lot split for Barbara Babione that we approved, a lot line adjustment for Robert Bridenstine that we approved. Then we also had a conditional use permit application presented to us for a short-term rental by Russell Brasheed at 438. That's the last house as you're heading towards the interstate right before Tower Road. So he's looking for a short-term rental there. It's something he could request, so we scheduled a public hearing for 6 o'clock at our next meeting. So if there's anybody interested in that who's not being notified per the code, that's, you know, or hasn't seen the sign, 6 o'clock, here's a public hearing for that. And we'll be holding our regular meeting after that at 6:30. And right now we don't have an agenda. We were hoping to hear from Juliet, but we got an email from her today saying that she'll be ready for us on our November meeting. And so right now, I guess we'll meet and we'll still talk about open space development. That's kind of where we've been at. And if there's any kind of theories that we can think of to what we might present to Juliet to see what we can bounce off of her. But other than that, that's what our next meeting and previous one was.
Any questions for Walter?
Well, I don't know if it's so much a question, but could we get like some minutes prior to the meeting, like in our
Okay.
packet?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, we'll have the secretary start emailing those in.
Okay.
Yeah.
thanks.
Yeah. Elizabeth's pretty quick on it.
She usually has them
the
out that
the
night.
of, yeah. Any other questions? All right,
Thank you, Walter.
thank you.
Next, our court report. Tracy? Oh,
I kind of hate to report this month. So our disbursements were like way down, and we've been trying to figure out why that is, but our disbursements were down 15,000 from the same month last year and down 11,000 from last month.
Oh, gee.
Yeah,
It
it's
is.
a lot. Our citations are down 30 from last month and 100 from last year, and overall, we're down about 800 citations from this time last year. So, maybe that's to account for part of it, I don't know. We have been super, super busy. We had, the Vital Records people brought all of our storage boxes. There were 195 boxes, and they brought them all down. We had all the walls in the courtroom lined, and we went through every single box, and got them moved out of here in a 4 to 5 day period. Thankfully, we had a couple football guys that came down and helped us move boxes, and a couple other people from the school came down and helped move stuff around. We have been doing research to see how much it will cost to get everything shredded or to buy a shredder. We have everything tucked away in a room right now. We have it separated out into this stuff needs to go under destroy order and be shredded, and this stuff needs to be scanned before it can go onto the destroy order and also be shredded. But we've been super, super busy working on that sort of thing. So I think that is pretty much all that I have.
any questions for Tracy?
Sounds like you guys worked hard on that.
We were worn out by the end of the day. Those boxes are so heavy. We took, some of the boxes ended up only having about 3 or 4 inches of stuff in them. And so we have that all consolidated down, and I think we emptied about 40 boxes. So that took us down from the number that we have to have shredded. So that was a good thing. So, but it's not gonna save us money because we already had that many here that we had already been scanning and ready to get rid of. So we're still at 200, but at least we're not at 240. So.
So I don't know if this is a question for her, but like, you know how you can rent the shredding trucks to come places and then you have a shredding event? I have no idea how much those cost, but could we potentially do that? And then they could shred their stuff, and then if any community members wanted to come and bring shredding
Potentially. So
materials?
what we're currently looking at is, do we buy a shredder? Do we bring in that company to do a shred? And no one had mentioned doing a shredding event to allow others, but certainly a possibility. Do we set up a service with them? Is it a one-time thing? So we're kind of weighing the possibilities in front of us at this point. But yes, we do have pricing from bringing, I think it's called Shred It, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, we have pricing from them to come in and what is it going to cost. And part of it, so when we met in here last Tuesday, it was literally every wall in this room up to about my shoulders in boxes. So when Tracy says that this was full of boxes, it was literally full of boxes. But part of it is that was 207 boxes, if I'm not mistaken, that we brought from them.
It was supposed to be 198, and then they said they ended up with 195 because they had records where 3 had been brought back some other time.
Okay.
So,
But part of it is that's they're charging the price is a per box, and so part of what Tracy's doing is condensing some of those boxes. Some of them, maybe they're not all the way full, and can we?
they are now. I put them in the sides, I laid it on top, I mean, the lid went on, but that was it. They are full.
So yeah, we are looking at that, Dina. Anything else for Tracy?
The other expenses we have coming up though are that our backup for our system has gone, one of our backup devices has failed for the server. And so that's gonna be another expense that we're gonna have to check on very soon. I mean,
Yes.
we have quotes on it too, so. I was trying to save us money and now we're gonna end up spending even more. I didn't do it. So, it's unfortunate. So, okay.
Thank you. All right, next is the library report. Marie?
Hi, so you may have noticed that we have a big change in front of our library. We now have a new parking lot. I do want to give a big shout out to Isaac and his team because they helped a lot throughout this entire process and we really appreciate them. I also want to do a quick shout out to Chad because he carted away some old materials for us this week, so we really appreciate him. So our new parking lot is one way, so you enter in from Main and you can exit out over by Garfield. And those tiles are in there to absorb all the water. And it's been working great. We had someone from Beaver Watershed Alliance come out on Saturday and do a demo with us. It's survived the rain really well. There's no puddles, which was fantastic. We all had dry feet. And it's really nice because you can just drive over them, but it's catching all that water. So it's been really cool. Other big news, we have a new face at the library. We hired a new youth services librarian. Her name is Micah. She has been fantastic. She jumped in and helped out with story time today, and she got all the kids singing and dancing. So that's been great. We also have a couple of events coming up. We've got a local author named David Holcomb, and he's going to be coming to the library tomorrow. And then we have a family fun night coming up, and it's going to involve spooky snacks and also making your own face masks. So that's going to be on Friday, October the 20th. Surprisingly, even though we had some exciting construction equipment going on, our numbers didn't drop too much for checkouts. We dropped by about 100 books, but that's not bad, especially with stuff with school and everything picking up. We added 230 new records to our library, so new items. We had 12 programs this month, and there was 142 people attending the program. So, yeah, does anyone have any questions for me?
No questions for Marie?
Are you loving your job?
Yeah, always.
Parking lot does look very nice.
We're really lucky. We're so happy with it.
Who would have ever thought you would say that about a parking lot?
Well, it's so pretty. Anything else?
It does.
All right, thank you, Marie.
Thank you.
Next, our police department, Chief Halliburton.
Good evening, good evening. Well, let's start with our statistics. We had 376 calls for service. Took 30 reports, had 77, we wrote 77 traffic citations in West Fork and 11 in Greenland. Had 131 warnings, so we're out there in the community making sure that we're visible. Only had 8 criminal violations and 4 liquor violations. And that was for a month, and we're actually, we're down 30 calls from this time last month. I want to just report that my administrative assistant, Ellie Denton, she'll be taking her exam tomorrow for her special officer license, and she'll be handling her regular duties, but in addition to that, she'll also be doing some code enforcement for us, and also she'll be serving warrants for the court department, so the officers don't have to come off the street to serve warrants. I announced last month that we hired Officer Taylor, Cole Taylor, and I was happy that we also were able to hire another officer, Brad Pitts. He will be West Fork 6, meaning that I have a full staff, and I'm told that's for the first time in quite a while that we've had a full staff of police officers. So all that overtime that we're getting, Christy, will certainly decrease. Brad comes from us from from Fort Smith. He lives here in West Fork, so you know that was one of the selling points for him, that he can walk out the door and he's at work. So I'm happy to have him, and if you see him, and he tells me that he's real big on the community service and community projects. So, you know, I believe he'll be a valued asset for the city of West Fork. And that's all I've got.
Okay. Any questions for Chief?
You're fully staffed, right?
Fully staffed. I love the way that sounds.
Okay. Great.
No questions for the chief?
I had
Did you have
someone
something you
call
wanted me
me
to ask
and
him?
I'd like to ask him.
Go ahead.
Can I do it now? I was called about officers' pay
Mhm.
and their comp time.
Yes.
And they're like, what good does comp time do when they can't ever take it off because there's never enough staff, which that may change. But I was also asked why they're paid less than everybody else. It's a public website you can go to and look at it.
I have moved everyone's at the bottom pay. When Officer Taylor came aboard, he had pay criteria. We negotiated, and I could not allow the senior man, back when he was sitting here, he was senior, he'd been here, oh, there he is. I had to raise his pay. So everybody who doesn't have rank per se, all my sergeants, they still make what they make, I make what I make, but all the people at the bottom have all gotten pay raises up. We are $3 to $4 behind. I've done a pay study. My sergeants don't make what entry-level officers make at other departments. But they're here because of what West Fork has to offer. So I try to focus on those details, making sure that it's the work environment, because I can't squeeze blood from a turnip. So, I would love to give everybody an equal pay raise, but I don't want to get into a position where we're robbing Peter to pay Paul at the police department. So.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So now they can use their comp time?
Yes, they could always use it. See, you can ask them. If they say, "Hey, I want to take this day off," I'll come in and work for them. It's no big deal. I don't have to be here every day, 8 to 5 or whatever. I come in, I work. Last month I think I worked like 12 days straight. So they can take off. Being an older officer, I understand that burnout happens, and you have to have quality of life, work balance. If you don't, you'll burn out. I'm an old man. If I burn out, nobody cares.
I know what you mean. So they still have 80 hours?
80 hours,
that they
except for
have
the
to-
one that just used some.
They have 80 hours to accrue before they're paid overtime?
Yes,
Is that how that works?
That is how that works.
Okay, well, that was the question, and I can't say that I understand that, but I'll leave it alone.
I didn't understand it either, but now I do. Okay.
Okay? Thank you.
So, anything else? No? Any questions for Brad Pitt? This is the first time Brad Pitt's been in our...
Brad Pitt in Westwood, that's cool. Don't tell the younger girls.
Somehow.
Okay, thank you, Chief.
West Fork.
Yes.
Brad, how long have you lived here?
I've lived here about 2 years, so
2 years? Yeah. How long have you been in law enforcement?
about 1.5 years.
Okay.
I'm with Fort Smith Police Department.
Cool.
So.
What got you down to Fort Smith? Living here, driving to Fort Smith? Do you have family down there? Or?
No, I have no family down there. I will slip up here. Honestly, I wanted the experience. Fort Smith offered a lot with that. But again, it was an hour drive there and back. So that's 8 hours a week, 32 hours a month. So I'm taking a lot of time away from family.
Yeah.
So there's some openings up here, and I decided to have a conversation with Chief, and he gave me an interview, and
cool.
Here we are.
Are you liking it so far?
I'm really enjoying it. For a small town, I didn't know there was so much that went on. As these guys know, I got a stolen vehicle off the street on Saturday night. Stolen out of Nebraska, and it was all the way out here. So
wow,
I'm really enjoying it.
Fantastic.
So
good.
Glad to have you. Good to have
I
you.
appreciate it.
Yes.
Yeah.
So one of my biggest things, community policing, and I'd like to try to bring that here. Getting on the Facebook page, trying to get the West Fork PD Facebook page a little more active.
Cool. Very good.
So that's about it.
Well, we're glad to have you.
Yep.
Appreciate it.
Thanks for coming tonight.
No problem.
All right, next, Public Works, Isaac.
We had a pretty busy month. We're laying new sewer line on Wheeler. That'll be finished up tonight. We're gonna go across the road McKnight tonight. Water loss will be not good next month.
Not good this month.
I know, 30.
30's kind of
It'll
high.
be worse.
Yep.
We had, well, it just happened that I looked at the sewer meter after we got a big rain to see how much the sewers went up, and noticed that we'd used 400,000 gallons of water 4 days in a row. And we started looking for a leak and found it up there on Centennial in the ditch where nobody could see it. So it run for at least 4 days. So it's gonna look pretty rough this month. We did get our tank inspection reports back. I'm gonna sit down and talk with Nathan Gray from Tank Spec next week about those. We will probably be looking at refurbishing the tank probably next year. Kelly Street is pretty rough on the inside and out, so that'll be coming down the pipe. We did clean up this last week. I wasn't there, but the guys were. They did, I think he said 90 loads. So pretty small. We scaled it back to the 1 day, and we honestly thought we'd get a lot more loads, but it was still pretty small. So we had plenty of dumpsters. We didn't have much trash coming, so that's about all I got.
I remembered that about 2:30 on the day of, and I said, oh, darn it. I mean, there's plenty of stuff in my house I could have hauled off, but.
He remembered, he just tell you.
Oh.
But I would like to mention on the yard waste, after speaking with Jonathan Wood, that price is a lot cheaper for us if we collect it and he brings the grapple truck down here and gathers it up and hauls it away
Okay.
and takes it completely off site. So it's a whole lot cheaper to do that rather than collect it, have him come chip it, and then either haul the waste away or leave it on site to give away. So it's a lot better price if he just comes and picks it up
Okay.
and takes it away. So
we can have people just take it to the area?
yeah, I mean, we could have
Or what?
we could have a collection area and just have him come and grab it from time to time. So
Does it have to be bundled for him to come get it?
no,
or
he'll
they
just
use
reach
bundle?
down there and pick it up and put it in his truck. So.
Okay. That's good.
Yeah,
Good news.
there's still some things to work out with that.
Yeah.
Where are we gonna put it? We're gonna let them bring trees. And I think of this because, you know, I had this grand idea that we could continue to serve mostly Washington County with our recycle center. And, you know, that's turned into a trash dump for most people that utilize it. So I think even that, we need to get some ideas, maybe a confined space where somebody can't bring logs or, you know, who knows what.
Well, and that's,
You can have a specification of inches, can't you? Sorry.
that's all right. My question was gonna be, would it be feasible to do it at the same time that we have the cleanup, where we have somebody that can monitor what people bring in? And do it once a year along
Maybe.
with the cleanup?
Well, that's the concern I have. I mean, we didn't want the weekend warrior out taking out 2 or 3 trees and bringing it all down there and dumping it out.
Right.
So
And if we're gonna be manning the dumpsters anyway, then maybe it wouldn't be too big a deal to have somebody, if it's across the street or wherever we do it, so that we don't run into that,
yeah,
you know.
Yeah. Okay.
And they don't just bring trash
Exactly.
over there and dump it with, you know, what's supposed to be.
yeah, it's the police and it is the hard
Yeah.
part.
Yeah.
So we have. a
But
hard-
that would be my suggestion, if there was a way that we could work it out where we could do it at the same time.
Sure.
And then, you know, the guy comes down the next day or two or whatever and hauls it off and
Yeah.
does whatever with it.
So
Okay.
they can shred it and then use it as mulching.
Right.
whatever,
Or
so,
whatever they want to
instead
use
of
it
us
for.
shredding.
Compost it. or
Did we
whatever.
look into the difference in renting a shredder and buying one?
No.
No? Okay, just
No.
wondered.
Well, the issue with buying one is it's just another piece of equipment that,
Yeah,
and those things are abused,
yeah,
and they do tear up.
Yeah, they do.
And it's manpower and, you know, to me, if we're gonna do it once a year, you wouldn't wanna buy one. Just,
Yeah. Okay, anything else for Isaac? No? Nick, you wanna give us an update on Homestead? I know you stayed there longer than I did, and maybe you can let us know what you found out down there.
Okay. Sure.
So prior to coming here, the Homestead Homeowners Association had their annual meeting at the community center. And so I went for just a few minutes, 30 minutes. They started at 6 o'clock. So I went prior to coming here. Most of the questions were directed at Nick, and you know they were concerned, how bad is it going to tear up the streets, their yards, what's going to be replaced, are they going to be responsible for paying any of this back, that type of thing. But
yeah, you didn't miss a whole lot else after you left, Mayor. Just a few more questions as far as construction and timing and all that. But no, it was a good meeting. You know, so y'all know where we are on the project. Is we got all the funding in place back in August. We've already come out of the gates. We've started surveying out in the neighborhood. We're kind of on the tail end of that. We've got about 20 or so property owners we still have to get in their backyards. That's been the biggest challenge. There's 80 houses out there, and we have to find everyone's tanks and pumps in their backyard and their clean outs. So we're kind of on the last push there. So I've asked the HOA to help us get through that final step there. We're working with a couple owners for easements. We're gonna have to get a couple easements to cross over into the subdivision, and one from someone in the subdivision. We've been in contact with both owners already. We've got some environmental work that's gonna happen on that property. We've got a couple sub-consultants queued up to do that work, hopefully soon. But we're moving fast. We need to get this project bid out and awarded by March 31st of next year. So
why do we have to have it bid out by then?
that is the ARPA money that was awarded late last year. They put that contingency on there that the money that we have to be at that point by that deadline in order to receive that funding. So that's half of the money, a little over $1.1 million of that project is tied up with ARPA. So if we miss that deadline, that could be at risk. And then the other deadline is the city would need to close the loan for $280,000 by July 1st of next year to get the low interest rate. But if we can hit the March deadline, I don't see any concerns with hitting a July deadline to close the loan. But things are moving. The residents seem very supportive of it too, and hopefully answered their questions. Appreciate you coming, Mayor, to speak to the cost. I think there was a lot of questions still on the bond, and we kept referencing paying the bond after the new bond. I said, no, that's part of your rates that you'll be charged. That's what's paying down that new loan that'll be in place. But so everything's full steam ahead. Y'all have any questions?
No? So, couple of things. One, I made sure and I brought up how much work Nick has put into this over the last 2 years. If you guys remember, 2 years ago, we met with the Homestead Property Owner Association. Nick and McClellan have taken this on pro bono since then, and we've reached out to the county trying to find funding for this when those ARPA funds were first coming out. We got a little bit of traction there, and then we had a couple justices of the peace who basically said no, they're not going to help in this project. Nick has continued to work tirelessly at the state level, trying to find grants or forgiveness of this money. And so $2.23 million project, and it's gonna, the city's taking on $280,000 of debt to make it happen, but those homeowners are getting a functional sewer system. We won't have any more sewage running into that creek that runs just north of that subdivision. The bond that each of those houses is under, so they formed an improvement district to get that put in. They still owe $220,000 on that. That's parceled out on every house in there, right? That goes away. This is, in my opinion, this is a huge project in the problems that it solves. And make no bones about it, it's good for the city of West Fork. We're gonna get new sewer customers. It's good for the city of West Fork.
It'd be good for them.
It's good for them, it's good for the environment. This is a project that, it's a big win, and it's really thanks to Nick. Nick has put a lot of time and effort into, you know, if this thing didn't come through, McClellan was out a lot of money, because they had to do projections for what this is gonna cost to get that to the state. With that being said, Nick is needing some money. So they have had to hire outside contractors to come in and do some of that work, and McClellan has ate that cost up to this point. Nick has came and asked, hey, can West Fork pay some of that engineering cost up front to be reimbursed at a later time once this thing goes through, but can we get those, can we get McClellan made whole on this so they're not out, these dollars that they physically expended? I would like, this is what I told Nick, and I was planning on talking to the mayor of Greenland tonight at the Homestead meeting, but he wasn't there. The mayor of Greenland has said, because they're wanting to annex Homestead. Originally, we had talked about annexing it when this all came out, and the residents were agreeable to that. Well, the city of Greenland is pushing hard to get that annexed and some other land. I'm not sure if that's going to happen, but the mayor of Greenland said, hey, if there's any more fees that come up associated with this, the city of Greenland will pay them. So I would like to ask the city of Greenland to pay McClellan, just so we don't have to. But at the end of the day, I would like the council's approval to pay Nick to make sure McClellan is whole if that doesn't, if that falls through.
We should. I'll make a motion that we do that.
For how much?
Yeah, what is the amount that we're not talking
I
about?
think what I'd asked Christie, I talked about 40,000 of and I guess next month I'll need to bring. I was gonna try this month, and this time got away from it.
And all I'm doing is bringing this before you guys so you know what's going on.
Right.
Yeah. So next month I'll need to bring a full contract, kind of similar to what we did with the West Fork project. Doesn't mean pay everything now. It just
Right.
means here's our fees to take it through completion. But that would be a time we could bring that back
Yeah.
up. But basically the cost was we've got a cultural resources consultant, environmental consultant. We have to do some wetlands work, and then an appraiser. We've got a couple easements, and then our preliminary time of just getting up to this point, and that added up to around 40,000 all in. But I told the mayor, we've been out there surveying. I'm not asking for any of that up front. We can hold off until the loan closes to get fully whole at that point. We definitely want to keep moving forward and make this project happen. But we could do that next month too, and actually have the contract. It doesn't say you have to pay everything, it's just entering into that agreement.
Where would it come from?
I don't know.
General fund or?
Well,
You don't know yet.
Don't know yet. Haven't got that
Then we need to
far.
look at that before we
Sure.
make a decision.
Yes, absolutely we do. And we need to see if the city of Greenland is willing to pay it before we
Yes.
do.
Yes.
I want you guys to be aware that that's something that's coming up, and we'll get more details for next month.
Well, he's done all this in good faith, there's no reason we shouldn't.
That's right. I agree with Jeff.
And that's what
I thought he was gonna work for free. I was gonna advise him, that's not a good business plan.
Yeah.
Well, definitely want to take care of our sub consultants and make sure we can keep them square. And I was hoping for a little for us to just help with the applications. We have to do an engineering report, as part of the ARPA application last year, and then just getting through ANRC and up to this point, you know, it's just not a, you know, not a request, and I can only say no.
Absolutely.
Definitely done the legwork.
And I think the council is in agreement that we will stand with McClellan on this.
You know, you're stuck with us, and I appreciate the kind words earlier. You know, definitely a team has made that happen in the background, and I hope to have some new team members coming to these meetings as we get further into it, so
Cool.
you don't always have to see my face up here.
We appreciate we appreciate you a lot.
Well, thank you. Appreciate y'all. So,
Okay. Anything else for Nick?
So if we were to absorb that cost somehow, just us, without involving Greenland, would that give us more teeth to annex them into our city? Whereas if we asked them to help pay some of the costs, does that give them more investment to where they could say, no, we want to annex them? Do you know what I'm saying?
So I don't think so.
Okay.
Attorney Kicklake may be able to speak to this more so than I can, but the Homestead subdivision is in a weird area. So they are in Greenland's planning area. They are not in ours. And I haven't researched this, but I assume at one point our planning area extended north and we basically annexed up to that, is my guess, as to why that would be in Greenland's planning area. So Greenland is of the understanding, working with the municipal league, that due to that being in their planning area, that they almost have first right of refusal. Now, I don't know that that's correct, but that's how it was conveyed to me through the Greenland mayor and annexing. And so looking at that a couple of different ways, we initially said, hey, we want you. And I think in a lot of ways we still want them. From a financial aspect, I don't know that we do. So what I mean by that is, so that's a subdivision of 80 homes that's been built. They started building it out 15 years ago. When you put in a subdivision, you think of it, all those water meters went in at the same time. So when one fails, there's probably 79 more getting ready to. But on the flip side of that, the city of West Fork would charge an additional $22.50 per month for the sewer service. That's what we charge everybody that's outside. So when you look at what those home values are, what the assessed value is, and so what a city would get on property taxes out of that, you're looking at about $200 a home per year, as opposed to $22.50 a month per home. The numbers are, from a financial aspect, that's all I'm talking about. From a financial aspect, the numbers are better if we don't annex them. Most likely, when Nick gets a crew of contractors, they're going to go in there and they're going to rip up streets and they're going to rip up curbs and everything else. And while they're going to put things back well, they have lessened the integrity of everything that they've touched. So there's going to be a lot more sidewalks that need to be replaced.
Which would be Greenland.
Yeah, so, and I'm not saying that we wouldn't keep our word and annex Homestead subdivision. I'm just saying I don't know that we need to push a fight to annex them. If they're willing to annex, yeah, I think we take them. But
It makes more sense on their end anyway.
that's currently, if I'm not mistaken, that's currently still a 72774 zip code, which means all of their Amazon purchases, the sales tax is still coming here. Most of the residents from meeting with them shop at the West Fork Harps. They shop at the West Fork Dollar Store. They don't like the Greenland Dollar Store. So from that perspective, I don't know that we're losing a lot by losing that annexation. Anything else for Nick? No? Thank you, sir. Parks Director Chad Harrison.
So the Parks Committee did meet this month, so I wasn't able to
or actually last month. Yeah. So I was able to get minutes in your packet, and I don't have a lot to add to that. Be happy to take any questions on those minutes. But I do want to report a couple things on the memorial meeting. We were able to meet a couple of times. The Boy Scout, Noah, we've worked with him on a design and a plan moving forward to work in with his Eagle Scout project. So we've had a couple of good meetings there. It's moving forward. He's going to put together some design plans for us to look at on seating area and observation area, doing some landscaping, setting that up. And how that moves forward may depend on what kind of donations and things he can get. He's going to try to reach out and get donations for the materials, for the surface area, plus the plants and flowers and things like that. So we're moving forward. He has till next June, I believe, or July to complete the project. We're hoping it doesn't take that long. He doesn't want it to take that long, but we're going to take our time and design it out, and then, you know, depending on weather and winter and stuff. But we will be seeing some progress down there at the memorial soon. Also, the Christmas parade committee met as well, and we set a date for the parade. It will be December 6th. Activities will start at 6 o'clock, is that correct, Ann? And then parade at 6:30, I believe. But there'll be more details coming out. We're meeting again early next month. I don't remember the date. Do you, Ann? The committee's meeting.
Great help.
I had the important date of when the parade was, but we are meeting again, so some more details will be coming out about the Christmas parade and activities as well. So,
And if anybody would like to be a part of that, contact the city for meeting dates.
yes, because I don't know what they are.
Yes, and mine's on my phone and it's at my car, so.
One major change that they did discuss for Christmas events was not having a lights contest this year. So we've had a little bit of decreased interest in competing in that, and so they talked about.
So, yeah, we're kind of thinking that we'll lay off that for a year or two and let some interest gain back, maybe revamp it and bring it back. But it's kind of ran its course, we feel like. But then we're going to take the prize money that's been donated in the past to go towards the light contest and possibly put it towards a float contest to gain more interest in the parade and getting decorated floats and things like that. So that's kind of our plan at this point.
And I believe there will be a float for city council again this year.
Not her flat. So that's all I've got. Got any questions on any of that or the parks minutes?
Kinda. What was the reasoning for maybe having lower number of members?
It was just some different options. Darren wanted to discuss term limits. We've got several members that have been on there quite a while, and we didn't make, part of my minutes got cut off in the copying process there, so we didn't make any decisions on or change anything. We just discussed some items. The number of members was brought up just mainly just to see. We have 7, which can be good and can be bad. You know, you get 7 people plus myself in there discussing and trying to make decisions. Sometimes there's 8 on our city council. We have 7 on the parks committee. So it was just brought up as an option, but we didn't make any changes as far as term limits or changes to our number of members. And sometimes the parks have been lucky. We've always been able to fill our spots, but some of these other committees, that's another reason. If you only have 5 members, it's easier to find 5 people to serve too. You know, that was something we looked at and talked about as well. But we didn't make any changes, at least at this time. I don't think we will, based on the discussions we had.
Anything else for Chad?
Who cleaned the mud up? TJ did, and the fire department helped him.
Well, I just want to thank all of y'all, whoever's involved.
Yes, I was gone last week, and so when that information came through, I sent it on to TJ, and he got right on it. And it was a little bit
thin, it wasn't caked on mud. Sometimes it gets caked on, we can shovel it off pretty easy, but it's kind of thin, so it's kind of hard. So Mark then took a brush truck down there and helped him spray it off, and then he cut some relief paths for some of the water, so maybe it won't build up quite as bad when we get the flooding. But we fixed the backside, that isn't the worst, but that low section right there does it sometimes too.
Well, it looks a lot better.
Yeah, and they were able to do it right before the fun run, when the fun run for the school was down there Saturday, so I was glad they got it taken care of before that.
Anything else for Chad?
Any more on the, oh my gosh, the
Stage.
stage and
Yeah,
the chairs?
it's in there, we're moving forward, we are gonna do a mobile portable stage. I'm looking at options as far as we've decided on the kind of trailer we're gonna get and how we wanna add to it once we get it. I'm just looking out there for a trailer that fits our needs, not only size-wise but price, so that's where we're at there, but our plans are to get that and get it started, and we have the money left on our budget this year to do that, and same with the restrooms. I'm talking to the guy about that put in the ones at Riverside. Still gotta look at some utility options down there, and I'm looking at different sizes and what we might need as well, but that's again something we may not get done by the end of the year, but we want to get to at least far enough along the project that we can have it paid with this year's budget, because we still do have those funds available. So, yeah, that's where both of those are at.
Anything else?
Okay, all right.
Thanks, Chad.
Thank you.
Fire Department, Chief Myers.
So I believe we're already talking about this, trunk or treat, be October 28th, 5 to 7, in conjunction with the school having the fall carnival. So hopefully we'll get it all outside this year, so hopefully it won't rain. So us, I'm assuming the police department, anybody else, any other departments want to take place in it, welcome to have them. Coat drive, doing that again as usual, so anybody has any coats they need to turn in, bring them down to us. Drop them off anytime at the fire station. The numbers are staying really consistent. I think 81 calls, and we've kept up with our numbers. In 2021, we were at 253 from the time of tone out to the time of actually somebody leaving their house going to the call. We dropped that to 230 in 22, and now we're down to 225. So with everybody being a lot busier than normal, that's really good. So I'm glad that they're taking it good and serious. So really, other than that, I don't have anything.
Questions for Chief Myers?
No, but thank you for helping clean up the sidewalk down
My pleasure.
Nothing?
You're not the one that slipped fell, right?
No,
Okay.
I walked around it, but.
Okay.
Thanks, Chief.
And the reason I'm thanking you is because my wife said I should go down there with a shovel.
Oh, okay, I understand.
So thank you very much.
I'll call you next time.
Christie, give us the finance report.
Hello. So the city bank balances, looks like we have increased by 2,900 this year. The budgets are all still looking good. We're 311,000 under budget. And I'll point out again that I did last month, a couple of those departments look like they're over budget, but we had actually budgeted money out of their reserves, which I noted beside that, so you can see that overall those budgets are still, or those departments are still under budget. Our sales tax percentage did decrease a little bit this month. It went, I think we were right at 11%, and it's showing 9.3% this month. I think that's gonna level back off, honestly. This next allotment that we get will be preschool, before school shopping and all that, so we'll see, but I think it's probably just the way that it's fallen this year that dropped down like that, so I foresee that still probably being at 11% for the year. On the water budget, we have increased our cash balances by 130,000. You can see after our long-term obligations, we're still 40,000 under budget for the water department in full this year. but the sewer is still over budget by, well, I say over budget, it's over, expenses over income, are 108,000 still, with a really good one this last month as, a payment of $14,000. If we could have that every month, we'd be in good shape, but, maybe another month or two before, I don't know, did the rains this time increase our sewer? So we might have another month or two. I don't think we'll see that we, are in the black at the end of the year on that, but we expected that, so. Other than that, we're working on budgets. We still have some pretty big factors, some health insurance decisions to make, and some water rates we're gonna talk about here in a little bit, before we can finalize any budget numbers, so we are in the process of working on those. And that's what's taking up most of my time right now. It's budgets and more budgets, so.
Any questions for Christie?
And Italy, sorry. Yes, Chad, and Italy.
Anything? No? Thanks, Christie. All right, next up, old business. Last month, I believe it was Jan brought up that it was too hot in the kitchen for her over at the community center.
It was, for anybody.
And requested that we get a quote to replace that. We do have a quote for replacing that, as you guys can see in your packet.
It's not shocking. Cost more than that for a house. That's cheap. It does. That doesn't look bad at all, considering.
Okay. What say the council?
I make a motion that we accept it and tell him to do the job. Y'all, if you haven't been down there, go down there and hang out a little while and you'll see what I'm talking about.
It's turning off cooler.
No, that's not a good excuse. No, because when they're, you know, people pay good money to go down and use the community center, and then they get down there and they're having a huge activity and they're rolling in sweat. That's no fun when you've got an activity. So
Frank, is it too hot for you at the community center? No?
He doesn't count.
So,
That was staged.
my question is, do we just get one bid?
I kind of wondered the
Yes.
same thing.
I mean, was it open and that's all we got?
So no, it wasn't open. Who did we go to, Christie?
That's his business. He did some work at my house and he was really reasonable. And this is not as much as it is for a house nowadays, so we need to fix the community center.
Well, we can get more bids if you would like.
Well, I thought that we had to.
No, not for this price, we do not.
Okay. So it has to be a certain amount before we.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I make a
No, I
motion
was
to
just-
accept it.
that's, I don't have a problem with it. I was just curious why we only had one bid.
It's cheap. Are you seconding, Jimmy?
I second. So we have a motion and a second?
Yes.
Where would we like to take this money from?
I don't know. Where we take everything else, I guess.
Christie, you wanna help us with that?
We can just take it out of building maintenance. It will make that line item over budget for the year, but it'll offset itself with the end of the year budget items.
You gonna say the same thing next month if we bring Tracy's expenditure before the council?
Maybe.
Maybe. Depends on what else happens.
Everybody good with it? Motion second, we've got that. Any other discussion on it? No? All those in favor of replacing the air conditioner at the community center, say yes.
Yes.
Those opposed, no. That motion carries. I better see you down there.
Oh, I'm down there. You're just not usually there. It's not me.
New business, discuss water and sewer rates.
Oh, boy.
So that's not something we're gonna do tonight.
No.
We're gonna bring up the fact that this is coming. Okay, so we do not have enough data to have a full-blown discussion about water and sewer rates.
How did the meeting go?
It went well. I can say that it went a lot better than it would have had we not shown up originally. So they definitely went back, they made some adjustments. Some of the points that we brought up, they definitely went back and readjusted their calculations to include those. So I think initially that was going up, I don't remember, it's $2 and something cents per thousand, and I think now it's gonna be 60 cents per thousand. So
It's a lot better.
did we get what we wanted? No, but we certainly got better than what they proposed. And I feel like we got everything we were gonna get out of them. I still feel like, and this is something I haven't discussed with Tom yet, but I feel like some of the changes that were made voids our current contract with the city of Fayetteville for our sewer service, in particular sewer. And so I'm hoping that Tom can get us into a contract negotiation. And there's a couple of points that we want to talk about. When we initially signed that contract, there were some additional 25 cent per thousand charges put in there. So if certain metrics were hit, they were able to charge us an additional 25 cent per thousand to treat that. I feel like with the way they have changed the pricing structure through their ordinance, that maybe negates the need for those additional 25 cent price increases. So that's something I would, like I said, I'm gonna talk to Tom, see if we can get into a contract negotiation and try to knock some of that back out to protect us a little bit further. We'll see how that goes.
Sounds
But
good.
all in all, it went well, Jan. There was really no negotiation on the water side. We still maintained our, it was a 30% wholesale discount. Instead of being a 30%, I think it's a 22% wholesale discount now, roughly, rough numbers. So we're still getting a discount purchasing the water. The rates went up, but we're still getting a discount. One of our main arguments were we wanted a wholesale discount on the treatment of that, and that's, we lost that fight, but,
I don't know that we lost the fight. You just didn't come out as good as you hoped.
there you go.
Well, they didn't just totally turn a deaf ear to you.
No, they did
No.
not.
No,
I think for what we were fighting, we came out pretty well.
fair enough.
Sounds like.
But what we are gonna have to discuss as a council is, and we'll get some data so that we have something to talk about, but how do we wanna increase West Fork's water and sewer in response to that?
That starts January?
January is when it starts. The water, we can increase that as a council, as a body council. The sewer, we have to have a public hearing prior to increasing the sewer rates. And I think Christy told me probably February or March would be the earliest that we could implement a sewer price increase. So that's why we need to get the data and have that discussion on how this is going to affect the citizens, one, and that's what we're trying to get is a good idea of these increases, how are they going to affect our current bills.
Good thing we have law and order. I think there's about 8 of us that be hung. If we raise them again.
I wasn't here when we raised them last time, but, is there what other option is there?
I know, I agree.
I just
know that people are very unhappy about it. So.
They are, there's no doubt about it. And we're currently putting, I think it's $347,000 of sales tax dollars into it to pay that down so that we don't have to raise it more. And we haven't heard from the state at this point if they're gonna allow us to basically earmark,
Right.
sales tax dollars so that we don't have to do that 59% increase that they're asking.
Right.
So we're definitely, and I know that, we have a small audience here that hear us talk about it. We are, the amount of people watching on YouTube is actually growing. We're up to, usually there's around 100 people watching this on YouTube. So I think that it is seen a little bit that we're not raising water and sewer rates because we want to. For a guy that's given up on the city, I felt like I fought the fight to try to keep those rates as low as they are, as low as we could keep them. But we are going to have to increase at least to the point of what Fayetteville did. And Fayetteville's increases are going to include an annual 3% increase. Just to keep up, that's keeping up with the cost of inflation. And what West Fork, Mayor Rossetti was in office the last time West Fork increased water and sewer rates. That's been
7 years?
I've been in office 7 years, and it was before that, so,
9 years?
yeah, 9, 10 years since the last time we did a water increase. So, in all honesty, we are due somewhat of an increase in the water department. Our maintenance costs have only, increased. So, but at the same time, we have a high sewer bill that we're already passing on to those citizens. So how do we balance that? And I think it's something we need to look at some data and make some good decisions on.
Though I think we need to be clear how much the city is putting in to pay that sewer bill as well. Yes, we're passing it on, but I'm paying it.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm paying my sewer bill.
Yeah.
Paying my water bill, just like everybody else. But how much is the city putting in? Because even though the city has upped the sewer bill, we're still not getting enough money coming in from that.
That's absolutely, and we won't. Now, I will say, so Nick and I had a discussion earlier this week. I guess it's just Tuesday, so it wasn't much earlier this week. But,
It was later last week.
so Greenland is looking at a sewer upgrade right now, and they're still trying to get the funding for it. And Nick and I were talking. I said, what's that going to look like? What's their bills going to look like once they have loans to pay back, bonds to pay back? And very likely, from the inflation that's happened from when we did ours, theirs may be higher than ours. Elkins is looking at, the last I heard, that was an $18 million project. So
Everybody's facing the same.
they are.
Same thing.
Everybody but Fayetteville.
Well, they're rolling the boat.
To decrease theirs.
Yeah, but yeah, I mean, it's a terrible situation to be in, but we are at a point where we have little choice in front of us. We have to do at least an increase to what our increase is going up. So we'll talk about that at the next meeting. We'll try to have some numbers put together. Christy and Amanda can put together some pro formas to kind of show if you're a citizen and you're using the minimum amount of water and sewer, this is what a bill would look like. If you're using 4,000 gallons, this is what it would look like, so that you guys have a good representation of the numbers we're talking about.
Need a motion to table?
Sure.
I'll make a motion to table it till next month.
Second.
Motion and second to table this till next month. All those in favor say yes.
Yes.
Those opposed, no. That motion carries.
I'd also like to say really quickly that in the democracy that is West Fork, I'm thankful that we have elected a mayor who advocates for our citizens at other, meetings and forums to try to speak up for us and to try to just do what you can to make sure that our voice is heard. So thank you for doing that.
Thank you, Nita.
You did a good job at it too.
Item 2 of new business is to approve the personal property millage for 2024. So we do this every year. Every year I try to bring up whatever city it was that forgot to do this and lost their property. Cave Springs, thank you. And lost that. So back to talking about Homestead, I said that the the property tax, the real property tax that a city would get from that is roughly $200 per house. And that's a complex calculation. I'm trying to build a PowerPoint to bring to a city council and to a planning commission meeting to show all of that so that everybody can kind of see what goes into it. But when we talk about property taxes and home values, the county assesses a value to that home. Okay, that may not be what your home is going to sell for. Most likely it's not. They assess a value to it. Then they give that value a 20% haircut. Okay, or an 80% haircut, sorry. And they take your city's millage and multiply it times that amount to get the property tax value. The school in West Fork, I believe, has like a 47, 49 mil tax that they get. So when you pay your real property taxes, the majority of that money goes to the school, a portion of that money goes to the county, and then 5 mills comes to the city of West Fork. And that's why you can have Homestead, for instance, 100, and those, I think those houses are assessed for around $187,000. The millage that a city would be getting is around $200, give or take. I don't have the figures in front of me, but that's what this typical 5% millage is. The city gets 5 mills, the school gets 47, 49, and then the county gets whatever they get. What has happened, because property values have went up so dramatically over the past couple years, there is a rule, the state has a rule out there that cities or that property taxes can't go up more than 10% per year. Okay, and so that's where we see problems with Homestead, is those houses were built and the county placed a value on them, assessed value at that time. Well, over the past 5 years, home prices in the city of West Fork have went up 76% in the last 5 years. That equates to like $100,000 in value.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the state can only raise the property tax values 10% per year. So you take a house that was built for $200,000 that's now selling for $325,000, there's a lot of value that's being lost there as far as collecting property taxes. So I'm going way into too much detail on that. But this year, we are approving a property millage increase of 4.9 mills instead of the 5, so that we do not break that 10% mark. The 10% increase mark. Okay, so the assessor has increased property values, but because they've increased so much, our millage is going from 5 mills down to 4.9 mills. Brian, have I beat this to death? Okay. So, do we have a motion to approve our 4.9 mills for 2024?
Yep.
I'll second it.
And we have a second. All those in favor say yes.
Yes.
Those opposed, no. That motion carries. Item 3, set a date for the budget workshop. We were planning on setting that for later this month to come to you with a budget. We are now asking to set that in November. What we're waiting on, so a couple things have came up. In the past, some of you guys may remember this, but in the past, the city of West Fork used Municipal League health insurance. Municipal League health insurance it got to a point where it was just terrible. And so the city of West Fork left it. And we went out, and at first we went to Blue Cross Blue Shield, and now I don't even know who we're with, but we shopped it again to get an even better rate, okay? Well, since that time, it's came to our attention that a lot of cities have went back to Municipal League. Some never left it. But that Municipal League is a much better insurance than it used to be. And so Christy and I have talked about this. Christy's been looking into it, trying to get the information. And what's at stake here is it a better plan for the employees, right? That's what we're trying to get, is equal or better insurance for equal or better price. And a couple of things that we're still waiting on. we typically get from our current insurance provider, they typically they send out and say, hey, your plan is going up by X% this year. We haven't got that yet. So we don't know how much our insurance is going up, number one. So we're still waiting on that budget item. And we're still trying to get some comparisons on this municipal league insurance to see do we want to switch. So what I'm asking is to kick that budget workshop into November. That still gives us November to have the workshop, December to approve the budget, so we can fight Jan in November about how much money we're cutting out of the fire department.
Other places.
Setting her up, chief. No, but I think that still gives us plenty of time to haggle over the budget and get that approved. But it also allows us enough time to get some good numbers on that. One, we just don't know what it's going to go up. We have a feeling it's going to go up. It does every year, and we don't even know how to put that in the budget yet. So that's, for the most part, the department heads have got their budgets in pretty good shape. We're still 68,000 over budget, so 60 to 80,000. We're still trying to figure out where it's going to come from, how we're going to trim here or there, but the budget's in pretty good shape all in all. And so I'd like to move that to November, set a date at the November meeting of when to have that, if that's okay with you guys.
So you do realize that our meeting won't be until the 14th, so that only leaves a week and a half for well, I guess it would be about 2 weeks left.
You got something going on the 24th or what?
I don't have anything going on. I'm just saying that our meeting won't actually even be till the 14th.
Okay. And so would you guys be up for a special meeting prior to that meeting, if we were able to get budget numbers?
Whatever's fine.
I mean, we're gonna be setting a special
Yeah.
meeting for that budget review workshop, one way or the other. You guys can tell me if you want after that or before, if we can get it before.
Whatever works it out.
Okay.
It's gotta be done, so.
Yep.
I know, I was just thinking like, you know,
You're
school's
right, Misty, it
out
will cramp our time, there's no doubt
for
about it.
Thanksgiving and, I
Mhm.
mean, I don't know if people go out of town for.
Chief Myers and Halliburton said they both have to work.
So, I mean, I was just thinking, you know, Thanksgiving break. So it doesn't matter to me.
Okay. We'll get that information out to you as soon as we can, and then we'll try to get something scheduled. Okay. Item 4. You guys should have some lease documents in front of you for Isaac's backhoe. How bad did this come out, Isaac?
Double.
So this was another thing that was holding up some budgeting, was we weren't sure where this new lease was going to come in. So we've been leasing a backhoe for 3 years. That lease is coming due. Isaac's been trying to find another backhoe, basically get another lease in place to replace this one. The problem we're having is the lease is going up about double. And that's with CAD. If we go to John Deere, it goes up more than that. Is that right?
Yeah.
What's the per period on that?
Per period.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like $2,800 a month.
Okay, so that's for the year. That price is for the whole year.
Yeah, $2,800 a month.
And that's is that 3 years, right?
Yeah.
This is another 3-year lease?
Yeah.
So that price is per year for 3 years.
Right now, we're paying about $18,000 a year. This new one's gonna be about $35,000 a year.
How much is that same unit purchased?
About $190,000. Payoff on the one we got now is like $87,000.
Are we renting to lease? I mean, leasing to buy?
We
No.
just continued the same thing that's been in place every 3 years. We just get a new backhoe.
Oh, so we get, if we lease, we get a new one every 3
Yeah,
years?
brand new.
Yeah.
Okay.
And the other, my question too is, so for leasing, are we responsible for the repairs?
We are responsible for the repairs, but with a new unit, the maintenance is relatively low on
Right.
There's minimal
the,
maintenance out there.
you know, after 3 years, they start having
Right.
major issues, so, yeah, I mean, we're responsible for the tires, and CAT provides us all the stuff for oil change, and then they come down and service all that, so there is a little bit of maintenance cost, but nothing compared to if we owned one. and
Right, so
had owned
even,
it for 10
even,
years.
Better off.
even though the lease is going up, we're still better off to lease it than we are to try to
Absolutely.
purchase one and have to
Yeah.
maintain it.
Yeah, that's what it sounds like.
Yeah.
You kinda gotta have one.
Yeah.
Can't
We,
be a
uh,
civil.
We upped it, at the last lease, we upped the hours because we were, we were going over the hours and then they were charging us so much per hour that we went over, so.
Oh, yeah.
At the end of our lease, we'd have this huge lump sum of money to pay because we were over on the hours, so that drove our lease price up last time to get more hours, so.
So how many hours are we
It's
roughly putting
1,000
in?
hours a year.
How many hours are we putting in right now?
We're right at 2,000 hours. About, well, we'll be about 2,100 hours when the lease is up.
That's,
How much more are they charging us per hour versus upping that to 2,000 hours?
Oh, I have no clue. You know, 2,000 hours for the 3 years. I had him rework that for like 750 hours a year.
Okay, so that's 1,000 hours a year.
1,000 hours a year.
Okay, and right now we're at 2,200 for this year.
Yeah.
Is that
For
because
the
of the
3
sewer
years.
work and
For the 3 years.
For
For the
the
3
3
years.
years.
Okay.
Is that
So,
because of the sewer work, Isaac? And
That
everything that's
backhoe
been
runs.
going on? I mean, we've had a lot going on for the last couple of years.
that backhoe should run every day, so,
Okay.
and does a lot of the time, so yeah, we put a lot of hours on it.
yeah, I just wanted to make sure we were thinking ahead and covering our hours in our lease versus paying triple the cost per hour on the backside.
Yeah.
I motion to accept this lease.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any other discussion?
So where does this money come from?
You working this into your budget?
That's Isaac's question. Yeah, this is being worked into the 24 budget. We just need to get the lease, we need to get it on record that we've discussed it and are moving forward with it. So yes, we had added an additional amount of money to that line item in Isaac's budget. I haven't heard yet if we were successful or not.
Nowhere close.
Nowhere close, okay.
We were not expecting it to double.
So yes, this is hitting the 24 budget.
Okay.
unless Tom would be willing to let us use his backhoe some.
I don't know about that.
We only need 2,000 hours.
Yeah, exactly. Basically, he won't be able to use it.
All right, anything else on this before we vote? No? All right, all those in favor say yes.
Yes.
Those opposed, no. That motion carries. Let's see. Do we have any other business?
We covered what I had. The limbs and the shredder and all that. So I don't have any.
Anybody else?
So you,
Okay. Mayor's comments, I don't have a lot this month. It's been a fairly quiet month. Everything is going well, the budgets are coming along. We're getting ready, as Walter said, to kick back up on zoning ordinance work. if we can get some council participation in that, that's gonna be good. That's, it's gonna get pretty deep, working through this ordinance. And there's a lot of ideas, which is good, right? There's a lot of ideas being discussed and.
That we don't currently have in our code.
Yes, and I'm not saying it's bad in any way, I'm just saying, rather than fighting that fight at city council, let's get some input, when Juliet gets back in there and we start going back into those workshops, let's get some council input on that and get that thing pushed in the direction that we think best fits the city of West Fork, because there's, a lot has changed in zoning since the 50s or even the 2000s when our code was implemented. So a lot of things to discuss that we don't think about every day, and a lot of it doesn't even apply to West Fork right now, but in 10 years it very well might. And so it's important, I think, to have those conversations now and have that preparation rather than be you guys remembered how we were when the first bed and breakfast came into us. What do we do with that? Event centers? We don't have that in our schedule of uses. So let's go ahead and participate in some of that planning meeting and try to get ahead of that as far as where the council, at least give them some direction of where the council is leaning on some of that.
Before barking up their own tree.
Yeah, but other than that, it's been a good month.
John's not here.
I know.
We don't know what to do.
Yeah.
Make a motion, we adjourn.
I second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor say yes?
Yes.
Those opposed, no. We are adjourned.